Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposing SMG. This is part 2 of our recap and review of Selena Gomez's documentary, My Mind and Me. If you guys didn't watch part 1, go do so, it's already up. And this is the continuation. I hope you guys enjoy, please like and subscribe for more. Follow us on our social media, and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Minutes in, and Selena looks like she's just so drained from repeating the same heartbreaking story. Do you remember that in the documentary?
Yeah, she just looked like frozen. She looked like somebody who was frozen in time, having to repeat the same exact thing over and over and over again. So I understand when she hates doing promo. A part of it probably hates, like, it's a constant reminder of what her life is, because maybe for us it's like this heartbroken song, but for Selena it's like her entire world shattered, and now she has to continue singing this lullaby that she's been singing since 2013.
Yeah, so she looks so drained, and she keeps looking at the camera in like the Office type way where she's like
rolling her eyes.
So then we get to the point where she kind of flips out over this French interview. The interviewer asks her a question. She doesn't ask her anything bad.
No, she was like, you're an actress, you're a singer, you're this, what else do you want to do? Or like, what else do you want to take on your plate? And then she says, I'd like to fully dedicate my time to philanthropy. And then when the interviewer goes, good for me, like that, we're good to go, she just kind of goes, oh wow, gee, thanks. Good to see you understood me.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Felt like you really understood.
And it was just like very passive, and it's like, this interviewer is not your babysitter. They're just trying to ask you questions.
And there's no context behind the interview.
Probably going to devote most of my life to philanthropy. Okay, that's good for me. I'm done.
Honestly, if you guys are familiar with celebrity interviews, you know they're like 2 to 3 minutes long, unless it's like a Oprah type sit-down type radio show host. Like, they're not long. So Selena just flips out, and then she goes to the back and she says, that's the dumbest thing I ever did. It makes me feel so cheap. And then she goes like, what am I, like from Disney still? Like, and me in this outfit, and she starts crying about her
She's like, I look like a witch with the feathers.
I look like a witch, it reminds me of me and Disney, and just keeps mentioning Disney. Also, it's irrelevant to the French interview. The French interview says like, what else would you want to be known for? What does Disney got to do with that? She flips at her entire team. The camera pans to Raquelle, who's like, looks like she's scared shitless. And the entire team, they're just like, facepalm. Yeah, and she's just having her mental breakdown in the corner.
You know what it is it made me feel like Disney. I fucking look like a witch with the outfit doing it all, like the wand again.
Hey, I'm Selena Gomez from Wizards of Waverly Place, and you're watching Disney Channel.
I think she was rude to the French interviewer, and then the fact that nobody said anything like, yo, chill, what are you crying about? It's just like, it kind of shows this theme throughout the documentary, which is they allow Selena's entitled behavior. How does this fit in with mental health? The world may never know.
I don't know how like cheap it makes me feel. Like, she's asking me questions, like good ones, and then she didn't even pay attention to what I was saying.
Even if you're depressed, anxious, whatever, that does not give you a right to flip out on your team, to flip out on the French interviewer, or to just start screaming about Disney again. Like, girl,
exactly.
What?
I feel like mental health is important, but there's a lot of people struggling with mental health that still get up and do the work. And they're not flipping out on anybody in front of them. They're just kind of like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was easily so triggered and pissed off by a simple question because maybe she just wasn't in the mood to hear it is exactly what we mean when we say that Selena feels like she has this entitlement. And that's the issue with being in a victim mentality. You're like, oh, I went through all this stuff, so I don't want to keep hearing about something, or I don't want to keep doing this, so I'm going to throw a fit.
Yeah, and then you know what she says? I have it written here. Selena literally says about the French interviewer that she like flipped out on. She was like, she was asking good questions, but she wasn't paying attention to what I was saying. Are you have to be for real. Be for real.
BFFR.
BFFR.
Stop trauma dumping on your interviewers.
Like, what do you mean wasn't listening to? It's her job to ask you a question. It's your job to answer, Selena. Like,
and move on. This is not a personal therapy session.
And you can see that she has random sparks of anger. And here is a theme with Selena. You see these random sparks of anger that are not elaborated on in the documentary, but you see Selena guilt-ridden. Like, oh my god, I feel so bad for yelling at my mom and my stepdad. That was one of the scenes earlier on in the documentary. Yes. And she was like, and she's crying so much, and she's like shaking, and she was like, I hope they can forgive me. Like the Selena I was last night is different from the Selena I am today, and just so guilt-ridden by what she said to her mom and her stepdad. And it kind of makes the viewer ask, what happened?
And it's like, if you're not gonna elaborate on something, don't bring it up. So she does admit to having these lashings, but we never get to see those lashings. We just kind of get to see it through, I feel so bad for yelling at my mom and my stepdad, or I feel so bad, I don't want to be like my past, or all these mistakes.
We just see regret.
Yeah, and we don't see why she got to that. And it's not about a visual representation. They don't even say why she feels this way.
The entire documentary, you don't know why Selena's depressed. If you were living under a rock and you did not know that she was in a high-profile relationship with Justin Bieber and that she dated The Weeknd, which was a fake relationship, check out her video on that, but you will have no idea why she's sad or what went on in her life because they provide absolutely no context. We just see Selena crippling pain, just crying, broken, no context whatsoever.
I think they're not trying to fully say the truth of like what is going on. Mm-hmm. In a way, they're kind of just disguising it as this is a tough situation because I'm a celebrity and celebrity life is hard.
Yeah.
That's all I really got because I'm like, okay, why is she so upset? Why does she have paranoia? Why does she have all these things? And the only thing the documentary actually gives you is just, okay, maybe being a celebrity is so hard.
The documentary has 30 minutes left, and she's doing some more promo for the album Lose You to Love Me, and she's I think in the UK now, and she says they ask her questions, which is a famous, what song reminds you of being in love? And she's like, nothing, I don't have a song, whatever.
A song that reminds you of being in love. I don't know if I have one. Yeah, I don't think I have one.
And then there's another song where she's like, what do you see when you look at yourself? And then Selena goes like, why are these questions so deep? But it's just like you were just complaining about
your favorite
stupid
color.
questions and surface level. Let the interviewer do their job. You know how interviews go, girl. You were 30 years into your career now. She seemed displeased with every interview and everyone. And at this point in the documentary, all I see Selena for her is being entitled. She's throwing fists, she's just being mean to people, and no one's saying anything because they're not going to say anything to Selena. I think they're just scared they break her more. She looks like a shattered doll. And she keeps going back and forth with just Kenya, I want to do Kenya. Cut to her in her house, and she sees We Canada, which is the charity that she's been working with for a very long time. They get exposed for something or whatever. Point of story is Canada cuts ties with them. So it has a mental breakdown. She's like, but what am I gonna do now? And all like, as you can see, she's broken at this point, and you see that charity and philanthropy was the only thing holding her down. So she has a little mental breakdown about that. Then we see a lupus flare-up. They don't explain anything at all. I thought when I saw our fans talking about it on Twitter, poor Selena, lupus flare-up, I thought there'd be more context.
Yeah, I didn't think it would just be the lupus flare-up and that's it.
And then the doctor calls her, explains what's going on. She's like, oh, okay, thank God. Now I'm okay, now that I know what's happening to my body. So it's okay, moving on.
And we do have to move on because
we do. They don't bring it up.
They don't really bring it up again. The next thing they kind of do is in the same scene, Selena starts talking about having really bad dreams, and she's talking about how guilt-ridden she is over her past and over her mistakes. And once again, they do not tell you why she feels this way. What went on in your past that's making you so upset? What are these mistakes you think you're paying for now? You don't know. I don't know. Well, we do know. But
Yeah.
maybe you guys won't know. And they just don't go over any of that. You're just supposed to see her crying, see her get this way, and not know why or when.
So at this point, again, there's no accountability for anything, and she claims that she does not want to be famous. She doesn't want to be super famous at all. And I have an issue with this statement for any of our readers, subscribers who are part of the royal family drama. I covered Meghan Markle a lot, and one of my biggest issues with them was them complaining about they don't want to be famous, they want privacy, all this stuff, and they go and do these things that is going to bring them the opposite of privacy. If I don't want to be famous, I'm not going to release a record album. I could release one on SoundCloud and it'll be fine, but I'm not going to go sit down with Oprah and then tune into 20 million people watching me and then I make these extreme accusations that people are obviously going to provoke conversation. So I'm going to let Selena rock, but personally for me, I just don't like when a celebrity complains about fame, but then goes and does a press tour, releases an album, all of this stuff.
One thing I like though is that she talks about guilt in Kenya. I'm this person and I have all this money and I have all these privileges and stuff, and I'm coming to sit here to talk about my mental health with your mental health and compare. So I like the fact that she was kind of like having a little bit of guilt about going to Kenya. Shows that like she was a bit grounded and she's not
not out of touch with reality.
Yeah,
because she says like, and I brought this and I filmed and I'm just selfish.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good representation of anybody in her shoes going to Kenya and then with the film crew.
It showed accountability. They show us Lupus again. She's getting a lupus treatment again. She's really tired. One thing I don't like is that they made a lot of claims about lupus throughout the years. They never once talk about the fact that she like underwent chemotherapy. They just don't open up at any of that. And I guess one could argue she doesn't want to open up about her disease. But if you show yourself going through the treatment, people are gonna ask the question.
People who will remember. Maybe they're holding on the fact that people forgot she got these types of treatments.
Now, at this point, they keep emphasizing that Selena's off the internet. And I can recall about in the time
35 TikToks.
35 TikToks, a million Instagram sprees. I can recall about a million stuff that she did in these so-called years.
I don't know why
she was off
keeps
the internet.
Saying I'm off the internet. It's like we see you online, and then people will be like, oh no, she gives the videos and stuff to her team to edit and post. But it's like, you really expect me to believe that she, not on TikTok at all because she's off the internet, knows how to do these sounds and whatever, and she's giving it to Raquelle to post?
Yeah. The documentary basically ends with her on a couch with Raquelle, and who was the third person?
Ashley, yeah.
Ashley Cook. Raquelle tells her that, Selena, you're very complex. And she goes into this whole thing where Selena was like, oh my god, yeah, Raquelle, you're so smart. Here's what I found really interesting. Raquelle tells Selena that she doesn't choose what makes her happy. I can make a whole video on that statement alone because I've seen Selena take part in behavior that hurts her, actions that hurt her, make her bitter,
self-sabotaging.
to which Selena says, I self-sabotage. Girl, I could tell. But it's nice that she's self-aware. And then Raquelle says that's exactly what it is. And then she goes on and says that, Selena, you're not comfortable when something is not chaotic. All you know is chaos. Chaos to you, it's comfort. And I think that was really interesting.
I actually loved that part of the documentary because I feel like she was just being very relatable in the fact that they were admitting that she's very complicated, that when things are not chaotic, she's uncomfortable. And I feel like instead of showing us this sad girl era of Selena just completely broken, it was nice that they opened up about the fact that she is a complicated person and she is somebody that's hard to deal with, and if there isn't chaos, she's gonna kind of create it.
Yeah, I think that was interesting. And she even says that she had to relearn things and that she completely fell out of her mind. And basically, they just kind of keeps talking about finding Selena's purpose, which is what you don't expect from someone so far into their career. But I think what this shows us as a viewer and as the audience is that Selena's probably not going to continue doing music. She keeps teasing it. I don't know if she's going to go forward with it. I come to the conclusion that Selena is truly happy when she's helping other people. That quiets her mind, that lessens her anxiety, and shows her there's a greater purpose in life.
One thing I've also felt about the documentary is that they show you that here's this person who's been famous for like 15 years, but we're only going to focus on the past 2 to 3 years. And I feel like the reason why I didn't like that is because how she got here 2 or 3 years ago is because of all those other years of fame. I don't like how they completely didn't talk about 2013, 2014, 2015 even. And it's like, these are all important years for the development of Selena that we see now, and they just kind of glossed all over it, which is what left everyone kind of wondering, like, well, why do you feel this way?
My final thoughts on the documentary is, I don't think that it was surface level. I applaud Selena for being vulnerable. I will say that it felt like they just dipped in 2 inches beneath the surface. Like I said throughout the video, she cries a lot and she tells us that, you know, her mental health is bad, but nobody ever elaborates. There is no context. That's my biggest issue. My biggest con with the documentary is it lacks context. It glosses over the complexity of Selena. It still acknowledges that she can be aggressive, mean, self-sabotage, you know, these normal behaviors in a person, but ultimately they only show a broken Selena without any elaboration. And you kind of get lost in the timeline because it feels like the scenes are repeated in different years. So Selena went from being really depressed in 2018 and then 2019 and they show her like fine and then they show her bad again. They show her fine and bad again. which I don't know if that's an accurate representation of what happened, but basically by the time you reach the documentary, you still find yourself asking, who is Selena Gomez? And who is she when she's not sad, which is a video we just got up about this topic. The documentary takes a public figure's life and gives us some missing pieces of her life behind closed doors, but forget that there's so much that happened in the public eye that would add context. It's raw and vulnerable, but at the end of it, you still feel like a huge chunk of her life was missing, and it was probably in that 1 hour and a half that they cut out. It ends with Selena saying that she feels like a product and complaining about her job, leading the viewer to assume that she hates music. Now, the last thing I want to say and touch base on is the accusations that Selena has a drug problem. I'm not accusing her, it's obvious like what the issue is. If you guys remember, we made a video a few months ago saying that Selena opens up, and there she told Forbes that she goes to AA and NA meetings, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous. There was no context to anything. A person does not wake up and just, their life does not crumble before their eyes. And I don't think it was a great representation of mental health in the sense that like one day your entire world can shatter, and it's like there has to be a reason. Like I know mental health, chemistry, imbalances, I know the science behind it all, and I'm a woman of science, I believe that, trust me. But things happen in your personal life that triggers depression, that triggers anxiety. You know, there's a reason why Selena was not shaking with depression and anxiety in Kenya. So what happened in her real life that drove us to the Selena we see today? So it's obvious that she went through substance abuse issues. There was a period of her partying, carried out of a club drunk, smoking, all of this stuff. She obviously went through something, and that's obviously what was cut out of the documentary, which is why you end up looking at the documentary like, you trying to tell me you were this depressed, this anxious, and in the celebrity world that promotes drugs, you did not do anything? Even though you were dating Cokehead himself The Weeknd in 2017? So I feel like it was lackluster in that. I didn't think it had substance. I applaud Selena for her vulnerability. It's hard, you know, sitting there crying in front of a camera and like just pouring your heart out.
I feel like in a way to protect her image, they did take out a huge part of Selena, which was the chaotic lifestyle she was living.
I guess she wasn't ready to shed that part.
When you have a vanilla image for so long, it gets very scary to show anybody your truth in that sense. And I think that's Selena's issue, because for 10 years, she's been crafted as this like perfect person. Perfect in the sense that whenever she's in trouble, she always finds a way to blame it on somebody else.
Yeah.
And people buy that like crazy. So when you do have an image that's this protected, that you care for so much, when it's time to release a documentary, you can't go around saying, oh, I was doing crack and all these other things in 2014, when it's like, no, you weren't. In 2014, you were like dipping pickles and eating french fries or whatever.
Yeah.
There was no truth all those years, and now it's kind of hard to give truth now.
I wish Selena the best moving forward. I think that she should find a passion. Like, I think the cooking show was great for her. It made her, you know, like a hobby that she enjoys. It made her stand out from her peers. And I think if the music industry is not good for her and it just impacts her this way, find a place where you stand out. And I think that she did that fairly well with Rare Beauty, with the mental health brand, Wonderland or whatever.
Yeah, the Spanish album.
The Spanish
was really
album,
good.
yeah. So I think she's finding her place. Only Murders is a great show.
Oh my
She's
God.
filming in January in New York City, the season 3, and we're tuned in.
Yeah.
That's a great show. This wraps up the documentary review, our thoughts on it, our thoughts on the documentary and everything that happened.
Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. Let us know your comments down below. Let us know what else you want to see us talk about. Follow us on our social media, like and subscribe for more. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.